Chapter 17, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga explaining three types of faith. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Kripa Srimurtaye Srimati Bhakti Gaurava Narasingha Iti Namane. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Verse 1. Arjuna Uvacha Ye Shastravidam Utrija Yajante Shradhayan Vitaha Te Samdista Tuka Krishna Satmamaho Rajastamaha. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the position of those that neglect the rules of the Vedas, yet worship with faith? Is such worship considered to be in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? Verse 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sasvabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tasmasi Cheti Tam Shrinu. Bhagavan Sri Krishna replied, the faith of the embodied living beings is of three types: goodness, passion, and ignorance. That faith arises from their own nature, from impressions of previous lives. Please hear about this. Verse 3. Sattvan Rupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata Shraddhamayo Yam Purusho Yojat Shraddha Sa Eva Saha. O Bharat, according to their consciousness, all living beings develop a particular type of faith. Indeed, a person is made of his faith. Verse 4. Yajante Satvika Devan Yakshi Rakshamsi Rajasaha Pretan Bhuta Ganams Chanye Yajante Tasmasa Janaha. Those in goodness worship the demigods. Those in passion worship the spirits of the ancestors, and those in ignorance worship ghosts. Verses 5 and 6. Ashastravi bitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambahankara samyukta karma raga balanvitaha karshayanta sarira Stambuta gramam achetasa mam chaivanta sarirastam tanvidiya suranishchayan. Out of pride and egotism, those who are ignorant undergo severe austerities that have no basis in the Vedas. Driven by lust, ambition, and the desire for power, they torture the body, and thus they also torture me who resides within the body. Know that such persons are of the nature of asuras. Anuvriti by Srila Guru Maharaj. In this chapter, Sri Krishna answers the question of Arjuna regarding those who reject the Vedas but perform worship with some faith. Arjuna wants to know to which mode of material nature they belong. The first lesson to learn here is that by not following the Vedic injunctions, one automatically acts as one likes, but is henceforth always under the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Thus, one is never situated in transcendence. Sri Krishna then further describes food, sacrifice, austerity, and charity as they are influenced by or born of the three modes of material nature. First, faith, Shraddha, is discussed. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that Shraddha arises in this life due to one's own nature and from impressions in the mind from previous lives. All activities in life depend on faith, to one degree or another. It does not matter what one's creed may be, theist or atheist, one must have faith. The theist has faith that there is a God, and the atheist has faith that there is no God. If one states a particular doctrine or philosophy, but says he has no faith, then that is pure hypocrisy. Krishna says that when one's faith is in the mode of goodness, one worships the demigods such as Ganesh, Shiva, Surya, Indra, and Saraswati, etc. When one's faith is in the mode of passion, one worships the spirits in nature or the ancestors. This also includes humanists and atheists. When one's faith is in the mode of ignorance, one is found to worship ghosts and spirits. All these types of worship are current in the world today. In India, many people worship the demigods by building big temples and offering fire sacrifices known as Jagnas. In the Far East, ancestor worship is very popular amongst the Buddhists, Shintoists, and Taoists. Similarly, in Europe and America, great monuments are erected to revere scientists, politicians, soldiers, movie stars, rock stars, etc. In Africa, Tibet, Mexico, and South America, the worship of ghosts and spirits is popular. All these forms of worship are conducted in the three modes of material nature. Therefore, having rejected the Vedas, it is to be concluded that the worshippers of demigods, ancestors, famous personalities, ghosts, and spirits are not transcendentally situated. To be transcendental to material nature means to accept the Vedas and thus be situated beyond the modes of nature in the realm of Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness. When one's faith is situated in pure goodness, one worships the Supreme Person, Krishna. This is the highest stage of monotheism, the acceptance of one Supreme Being. Pure goodness is described by Shiva as follows. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yadijati Tatra Pumam Aparitaha Sattvecha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Yadokshajo Me Mamasa Vidyate. One should always worship Krishna in pure goodness. Pure goodness is always pure consciousness in which the absolute truth, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. That was Lord Shiva speaking in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the stage of pure consciousness, one is guided by the highest type of faith called Nirguna Shraddha, transcendental faith that is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. After many lifetimes of following the Vedas and associating with the virtuous and pious, one develops sukriti, accumulated merit. This sukriti then leads one to the association of sadhus, self-realized yogis, and under their guidance, Nirguna Shraddha develops and progresses through various stages, ultimately reaching the highest stage of self-realization, prema bhakti. Nirguna Shraddha awakens in the heart of the bhakti yogi and enables one to see, hear, and feel the subjective world, the absolute truth. Nirguna Shraddha is that which reveals Krishna, just as a flash of lightning reveals the shape of a monsoon cloud in the dead of night. In the darkness of night, the cloud cannot be seen, but when lightning appears, the form of the cloud becomes visible. Similarly, when Nirguna Shraddha appears in the heart of the yogi, one can perceive the ultimate form of beauty, that is, Sri Krishna. Guided by Nirguna Shraddha, the student of Bhakti Yoga will feel that one is meant for Krishna, that he is not an independent being. One must feel completely dependent on Krishna. Such is the process of understanding the Supreme Person, who is beyond the modes of material nature. Krishna says that one who is driven by lust, ambition, power, pride, and egotism often undergoes severe austerities that are not prescribed in the Vedas or in the process of Bhakti Yoga. Such austerities parch the senses of the body. These may include austerities such as prolonged periods of fasting, self-flagellation, self-crucifixion, wearing silas chains, piercing the body, walking on hot coals, and so on. Because these austerities are performed in the mode of ignorance, they neglect the Paramatma within, thus leading one to no good result. Krishna says the performers of such austerities are to be known as asuras. Verse 7. Aharastvapi sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha jagnastapas tatadanam tesam vedam imam shrinu. The food that people enjoy, as well as the methods of sacrifice, austerity, and charity, are also of three types. Listen now about the distinctions between them. Verse 8. Ayusattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya stira hrija ahara sattvika priyaha. Food that increases one's life, energy, strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction, that is succulent, fatty, wholesome, and appealing, is dear to those in the mode of goodness. Verse 9. Katvamalavanat yushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasha sheshta dukkha shoka maya pradaha. Food that is too bitter, too sour, too salty, too hot, too pungent, too dry, and creates a burning sensation within and causes pain, sorrow, and disease. Such food is dear to those in the mode of passion. Verse 10. Yatayamam gata rasam puti paryushitam chayat uchistam apicham mejam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Food that is stale, tasteless, foul-smelling, rotten, left by others, and unfit for sacrifice is dear to those in the mode of ignorance. Anuvriti by Srila Guru Maharaj. As Jean Athelem Briot Sarvan, the French politician, lawyer, and connoisseur, wrote in 1826, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." In other words, you are what you eat. But in ancient times, this was better understood than in today's world. Sri Krishna says that all food is divided into three groups and is dear to one according to the acquired mode of nature. Food that increases life, gives energy, strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction is in the mode of goodness. This includes fruits, vegetables, grains, sugar, salt, spices, and milk products. These are basically known as vegetarian foods and are dear to those in the mode of goodness. Food that is too bitter, too sour, too sweet, too salty, too spicy, too pungent, and too dry, that creates excessive heat in the stomach, causes pain, creates gas and disease, is to be known as food in the mode of passion. Such food may be vegetarian, but it is usually oversalted and overspiced. Too much salt and spice creates mucus in the body and leads to such diseases as high blood pressure, heart failure, diabetes, and cancer. Such food should be avoided. Krishna says that food that is stale, tasteless, foul-smelling, rotten, left behind by others, or unfit for sacrifice is food in the mode of ignorance. Food left behind by others means the scraps left behind on someone's plate that in Western countries are usually fed to dogs and cats. Food not fit for sacrifice means that food contaminated by an animal or that has come in contact with something filthy and impure. Food in the mode of ignorance may include some vegetarian food that has become contaminated. Food in the mode of ignorance generally pertains to all varieties of non-vegetarian foodstuff, such as meat, fish, and eggs. These include beef, mutton, goat, pig, chicken, venison, turkey, duck, turtle, prawn, crab, frog, insect, snake, clam, oyster, shark, whale, caviar, horse and dog, just to name a few. Absurd as it may sound to the student of Bhakti Yoga, all the food mentioned above is very popular in various parts of the world. Such food is to be avoided by all classes of yogis, as well as by progressive human beings in general. All types of yogis prefer food in the mode of goodness, but the bhakti yogis prefer to eat only the remnants of food in the mode of goodness that has first been offered to Sri Krishna with love and devotion. Yo me bhaktya prayachati. Such remnants are called prasadam or mahaprasadam. Even eating food in the mode of goodness carries a karmic reaction if it is not first offered to Krishna. This has also been mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verses 13 as follows. Yajna shishyastana santo, bhuchante sarva kil bisai, Bhunjate twagam papa ye panchatma karanat. Saintly persons are liberated from all types of impiety by accepting the remnants of foodstuff offered in sacrifice to Krishna. However, those who only cook for themselves perpetuate their own bondage. That was the Bhagavad Gita. Food that is to be offered to Krishna must be prepared with love and devotion, and in a kitchen that is clean and where domestic pets, such as cats and dogs, do not enter. Everyone loves their pets. Indeed, Sri Krishna himself loves his 2 pet dogs, Vyagra and Brahmaraka, as well as other animals. However, pets should not be allowed in the kitchen where offerings are prepared. The student of Bhakti Yoga should not be a fanatic, but should practice moderation in all things. However, the yogi should be diligent to avoid food in the modes of passion and ignorance.